This is the Genesis by LT Wright. I want to go over some of the specs of this, and then I'll get into kind of the specifics on each. Starting with the handle, this is G10. It's fairly smooth. I like it to be a little grippier than this, but so far, even when my hands got sweaty and stuff, being out here in the heat, it kept pretty good. And the nice thing about a smooth finish is that it does clean off easier. It's not as porous. So far this has been a good handle, and it's been grippy enough, even though my first impression of it was that it was a little too smooth, but it's been fine. Also on the handle, we got this rounded pommel back here, which is very nice, especially when you're drilling holes, especially if you're doing a lot of drilling. There's no hot spots there. It's a very smooth handle. The handle shape is a basic broom handle shape, which I really like. It allows you to get a good grip on the knife from a variety of grips. The chest pull grip is one that a lot of times, if there's too much contour, there's a piece here that digs in, or there's a gap here that doesn't really feel right. But I have full contact here, and that's what you want. You want full contact. So I could do this for a long time and I don't feel any hot spots happening. And really that's the purpose of this kind of a pole cut, is to relieve strain and fatigue of your hand and your forearm and allow you to get the work done. So this is this is very effective at this. And then you switch it here, and I still have good control. It's a very simple handle design, but it gets the job done, and it gets the job done better than the more complicated designs. There's a slight taper toward the blade, so it's not a total broomstick. There's a slight taper here, and that does feel good. You notice that it keeps your hand on there nice. I was able to move in even when you're choking up. There's not a grip I could find on this that wasn't comfortable. There's a lanyard hole here, and also we got the thumb scallops on both sides. Moving on to the blade, this particular blade is A2, 1/8 inch thick blade stock. This grind is Scandinavian grind, and according to LT Wright, this is ground down to a true 0, which means it comes all the way to the edge, like a perfect point. And then they finish it off with a micro buff, they call it. And you can see that on there, that it's just a very faint edge on there. It's not I wouldn't call it a secondary edge. It's a micro buff. Alright, I wanted to do a couple indoor tests here, working with the LT Wright Genesis and doing a little bit of food prep. I don't normally do this, the indoor thing or the food prep, but I wanted to do it with the Genesis because of the Scandinavian grind. This kind of grind excels at working with wood. That's where it really is going to shine and do great. Food prep and other kind of slicing tasks, it's not going to perform as well as, say, a full flat grind. and that's why a lot of your kitchen knives are a full flat grind or something similar to it. But that being said, it will still prep food. The spine on this blade is very sharp. It'll throw sparks from a ferro rod very easily. Scrape tinder, remove glockets from cactus pads, whatever you want to do with your knife spine. This is a very sharp one. It's almost a little too sharp for my liking. There's almost a burr on there. You can feel it when you run your hand this way, and that can make it a little bit uncomfortable if you're putting your thumb on there or working with it. It can start to like slice in a little bit. Not too much of a problem, and that is also going to wear down. As you can see, the point of the knife comes to about center line with the handle, making it kind of a spear point knife. That point going down like that helps a lot for making those drilling motions, and also allowing you to have a little bit of an extended straight edge by removing some of that belly. Now there are some things that you might want more belly for, and so that's something to keep in mind. That might be a con. For me, it's a benefit of this knife because I prefer a little more straight edge over belly, just because of how I use my knife. So if you've watched some of my other videos, I usually don't like the leather sheaths. I prefer the Kydex. They have a little stronger retention, and they're usually more streamlined. One of the things I liked about this leather sheath though is that it is so streamlined. It's not a lot of bulky leather, but it's thick enough to be durable. So I've actually enjoyed this knife, and I'm going to keep it in this sheath for a while and see how I like it as time goes on. It's got a dangler option here, but that's removable. You just use a screwdriver or a coin or something and get that off if you'd rather have the higher carry. It's got a 3/8 inch slot here for your ferro rod. Pretty good retention. I just did a basic wet forming there, and it gave it fairly good retention that's held up good for what I've been doing. And I've been running around jumping off boulders and things like that, and it's been good. So I've been happy with it. And it's got some little holes here for lanyards. One thing that I like about these two is it gives you the option to, if I wanted maximum retention on this for a short period of time and I wasn't concerned with being able to draw my knife, like if I was going to do a river crossing and I didn't want to put this in my pack or something like that, I could tie a lanyard from here to here and that'll lock that in tight. So I like having the option to be able to do that for those times that I need that maximum retention. Again, it's not going to let me draw my knife, but it will let me keep it in there secure, and then I can pull that lanyard off when I'm done. Overall, good sheath, seems to be a good build, and it's holding up to what I've been doing with it, so I like it. One thing that I have noticed out here in the heat, the hotter it gets and the more this is out in the sun, the leather does soften up, and my retention starts to get a little less. It still hasn't softened it up so much that my knife is falling out. It just isn't as good of a hold as when it's cooler temperatures. So, and that's something across the board with leather sheaths. But like I say, as far as a leather sheath goes, I actually like this one. This is a good one. And usually if I have a knife with a leather sheath, I get rid of the sheath and I get a custom Kydex for it, just because that's what I prefer. This one I'm actually going to hang on to for a while, and because it kind of is growing on me, so I like it. So my concluding thoughts on this knife, I would say that this is a knife that's well suited for as a wilderness knife, not just for recreational bushcraft and camping kind of thing, but for the more long haul wilderness living style of use. It's the construction, the materials used on this knife, the attention to detail, the fit and finish, everything is catered towards being a reliable and a dependable knife. The design of this, what design works best for you comes down to how you approach the task, how you approach nature, how you do your thing. For me, this is a very well suited knife for how I do things. The blade profile, the size, the weight, the materials, everything I've been really happy with this knife. For me, this is a very good kind of all-purpose, keep at my side at all times kind of wilderness knife. So thank you for watching. Keep an eye on my channel, subscribe to it if you haven't already. Keep an eye out though, because I'll be hanging onto this knife, and I'll probably do future videos on it to see how it holds up to different tasks. This thing might make its way up to Alaska at some point. We'll do some work with it up there. So yeah, I'll probably do some extended use videos in the future